Welcome to Wonder Woman Wednesday. I am Jared, and today, this is going to be an interesting one. So, today I am contrasting post crisis Steve Trevor with this Steve Trevor portrayed by Tom King, or portrayed. So, obviously, I'm more in line with favoring the post crisis one because he's not a manipulative D bag as opposed to Tom King. It's funny how that works. But first, I want to start off by talking about what's the problem with Tom King's Steve Trevor. And the first point is that he's a crutch for Diana. Like the entire run, if you notice, about 99.9% of Diana's like actions are motivated by Steve. And I'm like, for a feminist character like Wonder Woman, having her actions be motivated by a man, that doesn't look good. So that's the first part. B is like she practically worships Steve in this run. She even made him a freaking idol. That's like the most generic looking statue. And of course, I'll have an image up on the screen right now. But I'm looking at this and I'm like, wait a minute here. So yeah, she literally worships Steve Trevor. So that's what you're trying to do. And King was very open about this, that he sees himself as Steve Trevor because Steve served in the military. So all of this is just because, as is pretty obvious, King doesn't want to write Wonder Woman and he'd much rather be writing a Steve book, knows that no one would give a crap about a Steve book. So he wants to essentially write a Steve book with this. Like even the Trinity book is not going to be about Diana and her daughter bonding. It's gonna be about fathers and daughters. So literally more with Steve. So I'm like, what? So then we get to why post-crisis Steve was better. Now here's the thing. Here's why post-crisis Wonder Woman was amazing, and particularly Perez, because she didn't really have a love interest. And what that allows for is that you can develop her as a character on her own first before you start adding in love interest, because that way you avoid like the common criticism that like, okay, the problem with most Wonder Woman runs is that they focus too much on the love interest and the villain. Well, if there's no love interest, you can focus on Diana exclusively, and that's why like the Perez run is as goated as it is. And yeah, it's essentially like the love interest didn't define who Diana was, as opposed to the Tom King run where it's literally that. So in terms of, now I'm going to talk about the fatal flaw of Tom King Steve, and this is like the main issue, is that he's too much of a self-insert, which I briefly mentioned before, but King goes one step further and makes basically Steve the whole hero of the run, such as when the Sovereign is describing to Trinity how like his entire organization was struck down. He talks about all the information on to do it, or like basically the one that gave Diana that gave the Wonder Girls the ability to do so, because Diana didn't do anything in this run, is Steve Trevor. So Steve is literally the hero of this entire story. And I'm like, bro, what do you, it's to the point where Diana's motivation to make Trinity is literally because Steve basically told her to. And I'm like, what? Now let's talk about how to fix Steve, because as you guys know, when I provide criticisms, I like to provide options on how to fix it. Number one, so he's dead now. Keep him dead for a while. I would say a year to a year and a half to like separate him as much from the bastardization of Tom King. Because that way, when it's easier for the fan base to grasp that this is a different version of the character or like a different iteration if it's like really far away from the last time someone wrote it. Then what you do is when he comes back, this is another point I want to make. Do not make him a love interest, because here's the thing. If Steve is this great character, and this is my belief on love interest in general, and I talked about this on Legacy, the love interest should be able to stand on their own as a character. If Steve can't, then maybe he shouldn't be her love interest. Plus, you could still do some cool stuff with Steve, like have him team up with like the government, have like a more government focused book. Steve does not need to be with Diana. He doesn't. If he does, then he's a really crappily set up character in this current iteration. Because remember, you had Steve where he wasn't dating Diana. In fact, he was married to Etta, and look what happened there. So that's what I think is going to happen. How would you guys fix Steve? What do you think are the chief issues with the way that Tom King portrays Steve Trevor? Does he need to be Wonder Woman's love interest? Let me know in the comments. And as always, consider becoming, being very civil, and I'll respond to you. And consider becoming a member, because if you become a member, you get these a day early, and you also get access to all the members' exclusive content like live streams and book clubs, which we are starting up soon. And you also get more direct access to chat with me. And be sure to be here this weekend. We have a lot of great shows in line for you. So stay heroic, everyone. Steve Trevor, Steve Never. He belongs 6 feet in the ground. So it's the Max About for life. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.